Can artificial intelligence replace a doctor, or a lawyer, or a pilot? When discussing which professions artificial intelligence will take over, these questions have become cliches. Because we have focused so much on what artificial intelligence can do that we have begun to forget what it cannot do. Moreover, there is an important point we are overlooking. We are mostly basing our discussions on technical professions. However, being human brings with it such unique abilities that no algorithm can replicate them. A psychologist sensing a childhood trauma that the client never mentioned from the tone of their voice. An experienced diplomat noticing an unspoken threat from the body language of the person opposite them. A teacher sensing the invisible social order in the classroom and stopping a new bullying incident before it starts. All of these are not coincidences. The human brain, gifted to us by millions of years of evolution, is actually an immense social computing machine. Recent research shows that even a 3-year-old child can make complex social inferences that today's most advanced artificial intelligence systems cannot perform. In this video, we will look at what artificial intelligence cannot do from a different angle. Beyond technical capabilities, we will trace the unique characteristics that make humans human. And perhaps, in the end, we will seek the answer to this question: what will ultimately distinguish us from our robotic colleagues in the future? Monica Maldonado, a brain surgeon, used an interesting expression in her latest medical presentation. Sometimes I can only intuitively identify an anomaly in magnetic resonance images as a tumor. Artificial intelligence has not yet been able to replicate that intuitive alarm system built on my 20 years of experience. Indeed, this intuitive intelligence is a much more complex structure than we imagine. A study conducted at Harvard University shows that experienced therapists can predict unspoken problems with a high degree of accuracy from their clients' nonverbal cues. So how does this ability develop? According to neuroscientist Sarah Chun from Yale University, the human brain is a pattern recognition machine, the product of millions of years of social evolution. However, unlike artificial intelligence, it can assign meaning to these patterns. It is this ability to make sense that takes humans far beyond being mere data processing machines. A school principal sensing tension in the teacher's lounge. A negotiator successfully reading microscopic changes in facial expressions. A family therapist hearing what a couple does not say as much as what they do say. There is a common truth in all these examples. Artificial intelligence can process data, but it cannot understand context in such depth. It can see the pattern, but it cannot grasp its meaning. It can hear the sound, but it cannot read the silence. Therefore, understanding the invisible abilities of the human brain is critical to determining which professions of the future will require the human factor. As Nobel Prize-winning neuroscientist Eric Kandel said, these abilities are not just skills, they are evolutionary superpowers of the human mind. These include fundamental capacities such as social-emotional intelligence, experiential learning, autonomous thinking, complex communication, and contextual memory. Consider, for example, a therapist working on a midnight emergency hotline. They can sense the slightest tremor in the caller's voice and detect shifts in their emotional state. If you ask artificial intelligence what to do in such a situation, it can provide a flawless protocol. However, saying the right word at the right moment is an entirely different human quality. Experiential learning is similarly unique. Research conducted at Cambridge University shows that experienced experts can detect lies from a person's body language with high accuracy. AI-based lie detection systems, on the other hand, still have very limited accuracy levels. Humanity's greatest discoveries are also products of the ability to think independently. Like Alexander Fleming asking what if about the seemingly ordinary mold on the culture. Artificial intelligence can analyze billions of pieces of data, but it does not yet have the curiosity to recognize the importance of a petri dish in the wrong place. High-level communication experts, such as United Nations interpreters, can interpret not only words but also historical memory, cultural codes, and implied threats. Google's translation algorithms are developing rapidly, but they cannot predict the disruption that a single word could cause in an international peace negotiation. Contextual memory is also one of the most challenging areas for artificial intelligence. A child psychologist may sense that the behavior of a child they encounter in the neighborhood where they have worked for years is similar to the story of one of the families they supported years ago. Establishing this context is not just about knowing the data, but about understanding life itself. Real life is not a structure that can be solved like a mathematical equation. Life is a chaotic environment that constantly catches us unprepared, and in this environment, the most valuable thing is human unique abilities. One of the world's leading investment banks holds human factor meetings before critical decisions. Even if all indicators appear positive, the meeting's sole question is, what is it that we cannot see? This is a question that artificial intelligence cannot yet ask. Research conducted at Johns Hopkins Hospital shows that artificial intelligence is more successful than doctors in detecting certain types of cancer. However, as Sarah Mitchell from the University of Oregon says, I treat not only my patient's tumor, but also their fear. Sometimes understanding a patient's silence is more valuable than interpreting a medical image. In the real world, decisions are based not only on data, but also on context. Research conducted at UCLA reveals that the vast majority of emergency managers still consider human intuition to be the most reliable guide in critical moments. Artificial intelligence may be an excellent orchestra conductor, but it cannot improvise jazz. Because improvisation is not just about reading notes, it is about feeling the moment, making eye contact with other musicians, sensing the rhythm. Therefore, in some professions, the human factor will always take center stage. Newly emerging fields such as crisis therapists, artists, negotiators, teachers, and human-machine interaction designers are professions where human uniqueness is at the core. As Fei Li from Stanford University said, seeing artificial intelligence as a rival to humans is like a wave trying to race the ocean. Perhaps the real question is not whether artificial intelligence will take our jobs, but what it truly means to be human. Perhaps the limits of artificial intelligence are an opportunity for humanity to rediscover its potential. And perhaps the real adventure will begin the day we understand this.